Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on another incredible journey into the world of rare and valuable coins. What if I told you that a simple 25-cent coin, a common American quarter, could be worth not just a few dollars or even thousands, but an astonishing $68 million? It sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? Yet that's exactly what happened with the fascinating 1978 Liberty Quarter Dollar from the United States, a coin that started its life as an ordinary piece of pocket change, but turned into a priceless treasure because of a mix of minting errors, mechanical mistakes, and mysterious details that make it one of the most talked about coins in numismatic history. This story is not just about money, it's about how an everyday object can carry hidden secrets, a forgotten piece of history, and unimaginable value. So stay tuned, because by the end of this story, you'll never look at a quarter the same way again. To understand why the 1978 Liberty Quarter became such a legend, we have to go back in time to the late 1970s, a period of change and transition for the U.S. Mint. The year 1978 was the final year before the famous Susan B. Anthony dollar would be introduced, and it was a time when the Mint was modernizing its equipment and refining its coinage standards. Yet despite all the advancements, perfection in minting was still a challenge. Machines could slip, dies could wear down, and planchets, the blank metal discs used to make coins, could sometimes be the wrong size, the wrong metal, or slightly misaligned. And when that happened, magic was born, mistakes that turned into miracles of value. Among the millions of quarters minted that year at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, one stood out, a coin so extraordinary in its details that experts and collectors were left speechless. This coin, the 1978 Liberty Quarter with its D Mint mark from Denver, carried a combination of errors that had never been seen together before. It would later become known as one of the rarest modern U.S. coins, fetching an unbelievable $68 million when its true nature was finally understood. It all began when a collector in Colorado stumbled upon the coin in a roll of quarters he had purchased from a local bank. At first, he didn't notice anything special. It was a typical Washington quarter featuring George Washington's portrait on the obverse and the eagle design on the reverse. But as he examined it under the light, he noticed something odd about the D Mint mark. It looked distorted, almost like it had been struck twice, slightly off from the original position. This was unusual, especially for a coin from 1978, when minting technology had already advanced enough to prevent such mishaps. Curious, the collector placed the coin under a magnifying lens and began a closer inspection. That's when the details began to emerge. The doubling wasn't just limited to the mint mark, the entire obverse side of the coin showed signs of a dramatic double die error. George Washington's eye, hairline, and even parts of his jaw appeared to have faint but noticeable doubling. The word Liberty at the top of the coin showed ghost-like traces behind the letters, and the motto, "In God We Trust," revealed a clear shadow effect that could be seen even with the naked eye under good lighting. This doubling was not the result of post-mint damage or mechanical wear, it was a genuine minting error, the kind that happens when a die, the metal stamp that strikes the coin, shifts slightly during the hubbing process. Normally, such coins are caught by the mint's quality control and melted down before entering circulation. But somehow, this one escaped. When the collector flipped the coin over, he found even more surprises. The reverse design featuring the eagle was slightly off-center, pushed just enough to the left that the rim appeared thicker on one side. The details of the eagle's wings were also slightly distorted, with one wing appearing higher than the other. More fascinatingly, faint die cracks ran through the eagle's right wing and extended into the words United States of America. These fine cracks looked almost like lightning bolts, small but sharp lines of raised metal that formed when the die itself began to fracture from overuse. But what truly shocked experts when they later examined the coin was something far more unexpected: the coin's composition. It turned out that this quarter wasn't struck on the usual copper nickel-clad planchet used for quarters since 1965. Instead, it was mistakenly struck on a 40% silver planchet, a leftover blank from the special silver Eisenhower dollars or proof coin runs that the mint occasionally produced. Somehow, a silver blank had made its way into the Denver Mint's quarter production line, resulting in a coin that looked like any other but carried a completely different metallic signature. This was a monumental discovery. A 1978 D quarter struck on a silver planchet, combined with a double die obverse, a misaligned reverse, die cracks, and a doubled mint mark, it was the perfect storm of rarity. Each of these errors alone could make a coin valuable, but all of them together on one coin was practically unheard of. When the coin was sent to be authenticated and graded by the Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS), it caused a stir among the experts. The graders, seasoned professionals who had seen countless rare coins, were amazed by the combination of features. The coin was confirmed to be genuine, with no evidence of tampering or post-mint alteration. It was a naturally occurring minting anomaly, an authentic product of the U.S. Mint's own machinery and process. They graded the coin at mint state 67, meaning it was in nearly flawless condition despite its age. When news of the discovery broke, the coin collecting community went into a frenzy. The story of a 1978 D quarter worth millions spread quickly across forums, conventions, and collector magazines. People began to check their old coins, hunting through jars and rolls in hopes of finding another. But none could match the perfection and complexity of this one. It was one of a kind. At its first private auction, the 1978 D Liberty quarter was expected to sell for a high price, but no one could have predicted what would happen next. Bidding started at $500,000, then quickly climbed to several million within minutes. Collectors, investors, and even museums joined the competition, each realizing the incredible historical and collectible importance of the coin. When the final gavel fell, the winning bid stunned everyone. $68 million. So, what made this coin so valuable beyond its physical errors? The answer lies in its story, its timing, and its incredible rarity. First, let's consider the double die error. Double dies are among the most sought-after minting mistakes because they are created during the die-making process itself, meaning every coin struck by that die carries the same error. In the case of the 1978 D Liberty quarter, only a few such coins are believed to exist, possibly fewer than 5, and this particular specimen was the best preserved one known. Then there's the composition error being struck on a silver planchet instead of a copper-nickel one. This is an error that can only occur when different coin blanks are mixed during production. In 1978, there was no official silver quarter issue, so any such coin would have been an accidental creation. Silver planchet errors are already extremely rare, but combined with multiple other errors, the result is almost mythic. The misaligned strike and die cracks add even more intrigue. Die cracks show that the coin was struck during the final stages of a die's lifespan, possibly right before it was retired. This makes the coin not just rare but historically significant, a snapshot of the moment when the die was literally breaking apart. As if all that weren't enough, the coin's surface exhibited what experts call proof-like luster. This means that even though it was a circulation strike, the coin had mirror-like surfaces similar to those of specially minted proof coins. This effect may have resulted from unusually high pressure during the striking process or from being one of the first coins struck with a freshly polished die. Either way, it added yet another layer of uniqueness. Over time, the legend of the 1978 D Liberty quarter grew beyond numismatics. It became a symbol of hidden value and the beauty of imperfection. People began to see it not just as a coin but as a metaphor, a reminder that sometimes mistakes can create miracles. In a world obsessed with perfection, this flawed piece of metal had become a masterpiece. Many collectors and historians have tried to trace how such a coin could have escaped the mint's strict quality control. Dear friends, our today's second story is about one of the most fascinating coins ever to come from the United States, mint the 1984 Liberty Quarter Dollar. Now, at first glance, this might seem like just an ordinary 25-cent piece, one you've probably handled countless times in your life. But this particular coin has a hidden tale, one that transformed a simple quarter with a face value of only 25 cents into a coin reportedly worth an unbelievable $54.7 million. How could that even be possible? What could make a coin that was meant for everyday transactions so astronomically valuable? Well, sit back, because this story combines history, minting mysteries, and the thrill of discovery, a combination that makes collectors' hearts race and keeps treasure hunters searching through their change every single day. Let's begin by going back to 1984, a time when the United States was still in the midst of technological change, pop culture was booming, and coin production at the U.S. Mint was running at full speed. The 1984 Liberty Quarter, also known as the Washington Quarter, continued the long-standing design featuring the profile of George Washington on the obverse, with the word Liberty proudly inscribed above his head. On the reverse, the majestic bald eagle spread its wings, a powerful symbol of American strength and unity. At first glance, there's nothing unusual about that design. It had been the standard since 1932, honoring the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. However, beneath the ordinary surface of the 1984 quarters, certain coins came out of the mint presses with strange and remarkable imperfections, the kind of minting mistakes that can turn a simple coin into a collector's fantasy. In the world of coin collecting, known as numismatics, errors can mean everything. They can elevate a coin from being worth cents to being worth millions. For the 1984 Liberty Quarter Dollar, it's these unusual and extremely rare minting mistakes that have made a handful of specimens so valuable. Imagine holding a small piece of metal that most people would overlook, not realizing that it might carry a fortune in value because of a tiny detail invisible to the naked eye. That's exactly the story behind this coin's mythical worth of $54.70 million. So, what exactly could cause a coin like the 1984 Liberty Quarter to skyrocket in value? The answer lies in the fascinating world of mint errors, double strikes, off-center minting, wrong planchet errors, missing mint marks, and even the rare and mysterious transitional errors. Each of these mistakes represents a glimpse into the inner workings of the U.S. Mint, the machines, the process, and the human oversight involved in creating billions of coins each year. One of the most talked about possibilities for the 1984 Liberty Quarter's extreme value is the double die error. This happens when the die, the tool used to stamp the coin's design, imprints the image twice, slightly offset, creating a ghost-like duplicate of the lettering or design. These double details often appear on the inscriptions like Liberty, or In God We Trust, or even on Washington's facial features. For collectors, spotting this error is like discovering a hidden treasure, because no two double die coins are exactly the same. Each one is unique, a fingerprint of minting imperfection that cannot be replicated. Some 1984 quarters are rumored to have an exceptionally rare double die obverse, which, when authenticated and preserved in top condition, could easily fetch astonishing amounts at auction. Another fascinating possibility is the off-center strike error. Imagine the coin blank, called a planchet, not being perfectly aligned when struck by the die. The result is a quarter with part of its design missing or shifted, sometimes revealing a crescent-shaped blank area on one edge. The more off-center the strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes, especially if the date remains fully visible. For the 1984 Liberty Quarter, an off-center strike combined with visible date and mint mark could create one of the most valuable minting anomalies ever discovered. Now, let's talk about planchet errors. A planchet is the blank piece of metal that becomes a coin after being struck. Occasionally, coins are struck on the wrong type of planchet. For example, a quarter design might accidentally be pressed onto a nickel or dime planchet. Such mistakes result in coins that weigh less or more than normal, with strange color tones or even incomplete designs. In the case of the 1984 quarter, there are whispers in the collecting community about quarters struck on foreign coin planchets or experimental metal compositions used briefly by the mint during that period. Imagine a coin that shouldn't even exist struck on a metal blank intended for another denomination or country. That's the kind of extraordinary mistake that can push its value into the tens of millions. Another key factor that can dramatically influence a coin's value is the mint mark. In 1984, U.S. quarters were struck primarily at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. The Philadelphia coins carried no mint mark, while Denver coins bore a small D on the obverse, and San Francisco coins carried an S mark for proof versions. Mint mark errors can occur when a die meant for one mint is accidentally used at another, or when the mint mark is missing, doubled, or misaligned. Some 1984 quarters have been found with faint or missing D mint marks, and that detail alone, under the right circumstances, can make collectors go wild. A missing or misplaced mint mark could be the difference between a 25-cent piece and one worth millions. Collectors and treasure hunters often wonder why some of these minting mistakes are so valuable. The answer lies not only in rarity but also in the story behind the coin. The U.S. Mint produces billions of coins each year with incredible precision, so for a major error to slip through quality control, it's almost miraculous. Each mistake tells a story of human and mechanical imperfection, a frozen moment when something went wrong in the otherwise flawless production process. It's that combination of rarity, curiosity, and historical intrigue that drives the value through the roof. But the 1984 Liberty Quarter's supposed $54.7 million value isn't just about era rarity, it's also about condition, demand, and provenance. The most valuable coins aren't just those with errors, they're the ones in the best possible condition, known as mint state or proof. These coins have never circulated, showing no wear or scratches, and look almost exactly as they did the moment they left the minting press. Professional coin grading services like PCGS and NGC assign grades on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a flawless coin. A 1984 quarter with a rare error, perfectly preserved at MS-70, could be virtually priceless to collectors who compete fiercely for the most perfect and rarest examples. Now, let's explore the possibilities that might have made the 1984 Liberty Quarter so extraordinarily valuable, the ones that turn numismatic folklore into reality. Some experts believe that a handful of these coins could have been experimental strikes. Perhaps the mint was testing new metal compositions or adjusting the die pressure, resulting in a small batch of test coins that were never meant to circulate. If one of those experimental coins somehow slipped into public hands, its rarity would be beyond measure. There are also tales of transitional errors, coins struck using dies from one year and planchets from another, especially during years when the mint was changing metal types or design elements. Although 1984 wasn't an official transitional year, unexpected planchet use or leftover materials could have produced such anomalies. A 1984 quarter struck on a leftover 1983 or even earlier planchet would be an extraordinary discovery, one that could easily justify an astronomical price tag. Another possibility involves die cracks and die breaks, small fractures in the die that cause raised lines or blobs of metal on the finished coin. While many of these are minor, some create dramatic visual effects, such as a raised ridge running across Washington's face or an extra spike of metal on the eagle's wings. Collectors often nickname these varieties, and certain nicknames become legends in the coin world. Imagine a 1984 quarter with a die crack so distinct that it forms what looks like a lightning bolt across Washington's neck or a halo above his head. Such a striking and unique feature could make that coin famous in its own right. My very important today's story is about one of those rare and almost mythical coins that have turned ordinary pocket change into a life-changing fortune. We're talking about the 1998 Liberty Quarter Dollar, a simple, everyday coin that most people have seen countless times, but this particular one is far from ordinary. This coin, struck at the Denver Mint, has become the subject of fascination and awe among collectors and treasure hunters because one specific specimen has been rumored to be worth an unbelievable $50 million. That's right, a coin with a face value of just 25 cents has become worth more than a private jet, more than a mansion, and more than most people will earn in a lifetime. How could something so small, so common, reach such astronomical value? The answer lies in its history, its errors, and the fascinating world of minting mistakes that transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. So let's dive deep into the story behind this 1998 Liberty Quarter, understand what makes it so incredibly valuable, and explore the endless possibilities that could explain how this one coin, meant for everyday transactions, became a priceless treasure. In 1998, the U.S. Mint was preparing for a major transition, the launch of the State Quarters program. That began the following year in 1999. This was one of the biggest coin initiatives in U.S. history, introducing 50 unique designs over a 10-year period, celebrating each of the states. But before that began, the 1998 Liberty Quarter, officially called the Washington Quarter, marked the final full year of the original eagle-back design that had been in circulation since 1932. The obverse still featured the iconic portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, with the word Liberty arched above his head and the motto "In God We Trust" inscribed to the side. On the reverse, the proud bald eagle stood clutching arrows and an olive branch, representing both strength and peace, a powerful symbol of the nation. Now, millions of 1998 quarters were produced at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and under normal circumstances, these coins would be worth only their face value 25 cents. But as is often the case in coin collecting, the extraordinary hides among the ordinary. Somewhere in the vast sea of coins struck that year, a few coins came out of the presses with mysterious errors, small, almost imperceptible mistakes that went unnoticed by the mint workers. These errors, when combined with rarity, condition, and intrigue, are what made one particular 1998 Liberty Quarter worth an unimaginable $50 million. To understand how a quarter could achieve such astronomical value, we must first understand how errors occur in the minting process. When coins are struck, two dies, one for the front obverse and one for the back reverse, come together under immense pressure to imprint the design onto a blank metal disc called a planchet. The slightest misalignment, damage, or contamination can lead to errors that collectors find fascinating. And the 1998 Liberty Quarter reportedly has some of the most intriguing and mysterious minting anomalies ever recorded. One of the most talked about possibilities is the double die error. This happens when the die itself is accidentally engraved twice, slightly out of alignment, causing some parts of the coin's design to appear doubled. You might see two overlapping images of the date, the word Liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust." These double details can be subtle or dramatic, but in either case, they make the coin unique. Some collectors have speculated that a handful of 1998 quarters display doubling around the letters of Liberty and on Washington's profile, and if such a coin is confirmed in pristine condition, it could easily command millions at auction. Another possible error that can make a coin incredibly valuable is the off-center strike. This occurs when the blank planchet isn't perfectly centered between the dies during the striking process, causing the design to appear shifted or incomplete. Off-center errors can range from a barely noticeable tilt to an extreme displacement that leaves large portions of the coin blank. The more off-center the design while still showing the date and mint mark, the rarer and more desirable the coin becomes. Imagine a 1998 quarter with a clear 1998 date but only half of Washington's face visible, that coin would immediately catch the eye of serious collectors. But that's not all. The 1998 Liberty Quarter may also owe its immense value to something even more extraordinary: a wrong planchet error. Sometimes, coins are mistakenly struck on metal blanks meant for a different denomination, like a dime, nickel, or even a foreign coin. This kind of mistake can happen when leftover planchets from another batch remain in the hopper during minting. A 1998 quarter struck on a dime planchet would be smaller and lighter than usual, with some of the design missing near the edges. These errors are extremely rare, and the fact that they represent an impossible combination makes them incredibly valuable. Then there's the mint mark itself, the small letter D beneath the date that tells us this coin was minted in Denver. Mint mark errors are a whole world of fascination on their own. Sometimes the mint mark is doubled, misplaced, or missing altogether. There are even cases where the mint mark was accidentally punched in the wrong location or used from the wrong mint. If a 1998 D quarter was found with a missing or misaligned D mint mark, it could easily become a sensation in the numismatic community. Let's not forget another category of errors that collectors love: die cracks and cuds. Over time, the dies used to strike coins can develop small fractures or chips, and these imperfections leave raised lines or blobs of metal on the coins they produce. A dramatic die crack that runs across Washington's face or a large cut near the rim of the coin can make that particular piece one of a kind. Some collectors even nickname these varieties, like the cracked skull quarter or the winged eagle cud, and these nicknames often help the coins achieve legendary status. Now, beyond the errors themselves, condition plays a critical role in determining the coin's ultimate value. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect, flawless specimen. The higher the grade, the higher the value. Most coins in circulation show signs of wear from handling, but coins that remain in uncirculated or mint condition, often preserved in coin rolls, proof sets, or forgotten collections, can fetch astronomical prices. Imagine a 1998 Liberty Quarter with a dramatic mint error, perfectly preserved in mint state 70 condition. Add a legendary backstory, and suddenly, the $50 million valuation begins to make sense. But how does such a number, $50 million, even come into the conversation? It's not just about the physical coin, it's about rarity, mystery, and the collector's passion for the unattainable. The world of high-end coin collecting is full of stories where unique coins break all expectations. When something truly one-of-a-kind appears, collectors, investors, and even museums compete for ownership. The price skyrockets not just because of the coin's metal or age, but because of its story, the sense that it represents a mistake that wasn't supposed to happen. A glimpse into history frozen in time. There's even speculation among collectors that a few 1998 D quarters may have been test strikes, experimental pieces made by the mint as it prepared to change designs for the state quarters program in 1999. If a test coin with a slightly altered composition or unfinished design somehow left the mint, it would be considered an extraordinary rarity. Such coins are often called transitional errors, meaning they were struck with features or materials meant for another coin series. A transitional 1998 D quarter, for example, might have subtle differences in metal composition, edge design, or die engraving differences that would make it unique and potentially priceless. The fascination doesn't stop there. There are also rumors among numismatists of a handful of 1998 D quarters struck on planchets with an experimental alloy, possibly as part of internal testing for the upcoming state quarter series. These coins would have slightly different weight, color, or luster than standard quarters, and if authenticated, could represent one of the rarest U.S. coins ever made. Let's imagine how such a discovery might happen. A collector or even an unsuspecting individual finds an old quarter in a coin jar, noticing something unusual. Maybe the color looks a bit different, or the coin feels slightly lighter.